After returning home from my deployment to Iraq, I did things that completely destroyed my body for decades. Like many veterans, I didn't sleep, I drank too much, and I did a lot of dangerous things that damaged my body, both in service and once I got out. And all those years of abuse to my body eventually began to catch up with me. Welcome to the Mental Health Janitors, where we help you clean up the mess in your head. I'm your host, Sergeant Q, and with me, as always, Doc Jess.
Hi, welcome. Thanks for being here, guys.
Jess, I know you and I talked in pre-show about just the damage that we put our bodies through when we're in the military and then when we get out.
Yes.
So let's talk about both those. Let's talk about all of the damage that we did in our service to this country. I know for me, I was 125 pounds, 5'4", jumping out of airplanes, doing long ruck marches, carrying a 40 to 50 pound ruck, depending on how many batteries I had to carry, because I'm a radio operator, up and down these mountains. And for me, I never went on a road march. They were a ruck run because I'm in the end, because they put the tall people up front and the short people in the back. And so by the time the motion got to me in the little end, I was just kind of jogging the whole time. So if you could imagine jogging with 40 pounds on your back for miles, years of that really did damage to my knees, my hips, my lower back. And then you add in jumping out of airplanes and all the other stuff that we did. I was really beat up when I left the Marine Corps.
That's interesting that they put the shorter people in the back.
Yeah.
They put the shortest. I was always the shortest because we had starting at basic training, we had mixed basic training, unlike you guys. So there was men and women in my basic training.
Yes, that's
Which is stupid. I love the way the Marines does it because I don't care who you are or what you believe, men and women are different. Physically, mentally, emotionally, hormonally, all the things. And I was always one of the shortest. And so I was always one in the front. And so I had 6'2" Jack back there pissed off at me because I'm going as fast as I can. They won't let me run. And he has to take small steps.
Oh, poor guy.
But it hurts. Like, I know you had to run, but those guys, those tall guys, like ask a tall guy how hard it is with all that weight to take little steps. It's not that.
Must be so hard.
You're such a brat.
Must be so difficult.
In a ruck march with my little legs, it was rough on them. Okay, it's funny how you guys did the opposite because I was always the leader of the ruck march, and they would yell at me, "Private Ainley, stop running," because I would feel pressured by them, like when we would stop to change our socks or whatever.
You know what I would always volunteer? I'd always volunteer to be the road guard, right? The two guys, do you guys have the road guards? Two guys in front, two guys in back?
Oh, yeah.
And you have to do all the crossings. I love that because I could go at my own pace. I just had to, stay a certain distance between. And I love that. And me and my buddy Calabrese. So Calabrese was one of those 6 foot tall guys. And we were roommates. We joined Anglico together. And he'd come from Cuba. So he was doing did a year in Cuba and then got selected at Anglico. I came straight out of my MOS school and went to Anglico. And we literally checked in the same day and we became roommates. And we were buddies ever since. But he is this 6'4" guy.
Wow.
And I'm this 5'4" guy. So there's a foot between us. And we would always volunteer to be the road guards. And if we could get it, it was the best. If not, my life was misery.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. What's interesting though is there's some kind of comfort that I get from having the backpack on.
I'm kind of addicted to buying them. Like you go to my garage, hey, I have all these rucks.
My husband has had to get used to it because like when we travel or something, I'm always got a backpack and he's like, "Do you want me to carry that?" I'm like, "No, it's like my safety." I don't know, having a little bit, and I have to have something in it, so a little bit of weight in it. And I've always wondered, does it go back to like, that was my equipment.
Yeah.
That was my conditioning. And like, that was like my lifeline. That my ruck had my bedding and my all of that in it. And so as they're like breaking you down and rebuilding you up. Like this, you have to have this or you're not safe. And so now when we go out of the country and do different things and we walk around, I always have a backpack on.
And, and so we're going to share with you guys in a minute. We found something that has helped us heal our body. And so we're going to share that with you guys in just a couple minutes. What we found, and it is a hot topic right now, and it was a game changer for me. But first, a word from our sponsor. Evolve is an online, gamified mental resilience training program. It allows you to work alone or with your friends to build resilience through small daily tasks and short weekly lessons. This means that you'll improve your mental resilience, improve your relationships, and have better mental health outcomes so you can enjoy your mental health journey. Okay, Jess, I can tell you my body was severely abused by the Marine Corps and yours by the Army. But it didn't stop there. When I left the military, I still had a very reckless lifestyle, and it caused all kinds of other problems. Not just that, but I began to age. And with age, I realized very quickly I couldn't do the same things I used to be able to do. When it came to abusing my body, was working out and hiking and carrying things, I just physically couldn't do it like I used to be able to. Everything hurt.
Well, and think about the culture and the lifestyle that you accumulate while in the military. I'm talking when I was deployed to Korea. I mean, we had a designated medic, kind of like a designated driver, to where like one night a week, my nights were Thursdays, I couldn't go out. I had to stay in the barracks and give IVs to the guys that got too drunk. So Thursday nights were my nights. I would go around my floor and give IVs to these guys that would fall asleep at 2 a.m., wake up at 5 a.m., and we're running in formation, and all I can smell is Jack Daniels. Ugh. Right. And so this is kind of the culture. And so, like, most of us just conformed to this culture. So we started building these bad habits while in the military. Uh, Not everybody did, but a lot of us did, and so the heavy drinking, the heavy partying when you're in a safe zone, right? Because it's like, anyways, a lot of bad habits are created. Bad eating habits. I mean, we had a Popeyes on our base in Korea. I ate Popeyes every single day.
Just I didn't eat fast food, and I still don't really eat fast food, but the speed in which I ingest my food,
Yeah, it's terrible for you.
it is like we'll go out to eat and I will be done, and everybody else is
Staying.
yeah, they're just finishing their appetizers, and I'm like, and I don't even think about it. It's just I just burn through it and like let's move to the next thing.
And not to mention how bad that is
Yes.
for your guts, for your digestive system, for your mental health, so many things, right? So all these little coping mechanisms and habits and behaviors that you accumulate while you're in the service. And then you get out and you just compound those terrible coping mechanisms and habits. So I, like you, when I was in the military, I had terrible unhealthy habits. And then when I got out, I had even more terrible unhealthy habits. And you don't realize, like, you're literally just trying to get by day to day. What can I do today to get through today? Eat whatever's going to make me feel good and get that little bit of dopamine hit. For me, it was a lot of drinking those first 10 years. It was eating out a lot when we first got back from Iraq. We ate out all the time because you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to put effort into cooking, but I want to eat good because I've just been, sure, we got crab legs and steak on Christmas and New Year's. But other than that, it's DFAC food every day.
Just sidetrack real quick. You saw the big thing about everybody being all upset that Pete Hegseth bought, lobster and steak and all that stuff. Did you see this on the news? How the Democrats were losing their mind. Like, oh, he's spending all this money on, millions of dollars on steak and lobster. Made this huge deal about it. Absolutely ridiculous. Every single year, every single administration does that. It's a line item on the budget. It's just something that people on the left have been trying to do. It's like a gotcha.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh my God, they're wasting all this money. You can't afford groceries and they're eating steak and lobster. It's like, no, that's given to the military when they're getting deployed. That's like their last meal because these guys are going to go die.
Yeah.
And you're complaining that they're eating steak and lobster. Well, go strap your boots on, Sally, and go over there and get your steak and lobster.
There you go. Yeah.
It was just so sidetrack. It's just funny that you see people do that. And it happens on the right as well. When there's a Democrat president, the right will do the same thing. And it is just infuriating on the amount of low information voters that we have in America. And that's what I'm going to call you people. You know
IV.
Yeah, you know exactly who I'm talking to because you feel offended right now. And you should because you are a low information voter. I don't care if you're on the left, right, or center. If you get upset about these things without researching it and finding out this is something that has been happening since the 80s, okay? Reagan is one I think who first started doing this for holidays and for deployments. And now you want to get upset all of a sudden because some talking head politician told you to? Like, grow up. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Grow up or become informed. So you're not a lib.
Yeah, a real or low information voter. That's what you are. That's what we start calling them from now. I'm going to hashtag that. Hashtag low information voter.
That's good. I like that.
Ridiculous. Okay, sorry. That's one of my rants.
Yes.
We need a little thing like, oh, I feel a Q rant coming on.
Yeah, perfect. Little soundbite. Instead of Q tails, with Q rants.
That's Q rant. We should bring back the Q tails. They were so fun. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get the production team. Okay, guys, I'm going to get the production team. If you're new here to the channel, we used to do this segment called Q Tales. It was super fun.
Yeah.
I would tell a story. I would write a story and I would tell it. And then
we'd have to guess.
Yeah.
Try to guess who the story was about.
That's right.
And then we built what we were going to talk about mental health around that person.
Yes. It was so much work though. Oh my gosh. That was so much work for me to do. I think we did that for a year. And I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
so, at least.
Yeah. No, it was a long time.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll bring those back though. What we should do is we'll put them out as a separate segment.
Yeah, that'll be
Q Tales. Yeah, I know I have them.
Okay. Some of the younger audience actually really like those.
Yeah, they did, but it was so much work. And they don't pay us to do this. We don't get paid to do this.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Yeah. Yeah. So just to summarize. Yeah. We beat our bodies up and we get our bodies beat up while you're in the service. And then you continue beating your bodies up, whether it's intentional or not, after you get out of the service. So for me, for instance, a good example is for 10 years, I slept 2 to 4 hours a night, like legitimately. I drank way too much alcohol, and alcohol is poison to your body. It is.
Literal poison.
Literally, it's poison to your body. And
unless it's wine, then it's good for the gut. That to drink to be merry, and that wine is good for...
In moderation, yes.
Yeah. And drink to be merry, not to be a drunkard, right?
That's what it says.
That's what the Bible says.
Yes.
So all you pious Christians out there thinking that alcohol is a sin, maybe you crack open the Bible a little bit and read some of that. And if you're offended, I'm talking about you.
You're a low information Bible reader. Yeah.
We're going to get you all. We're going to offend everybody today.
Okay, Sergeant Q Rants. Q Rants. Here we go. Anyways, so I destroyed my body. Poor sleep, poor lifestyle habits, all of those things. And what it comes down to is like, what do I have to do? What do I do today to survive?
Yeah. And here's the thing. You guys are doing the same thing. You're listening to us, and some of you are convicted because you eat too much or the wrong foods. You drink too much. You damage your bodies. Like, you're doing the same thing that we're doing. We're nothing special. You guys are doing it as well. And it's going to start catching up to you just like it did to us. Now, I still like to hike. I hike through Sundong Cave last year. It's a huge cave system in Vietnam. I'm training to hike the Inca Trail, but I physically couldn't hike that much because my knees were so blown out. And so I got stem cells in my kneecaps because there's no cartilage there. And that helped, but I still go really hard. And I injured myself, my shoulder, just lifting weights. Dumbbells, overhead military press, standard. I've done millions, literal millions of those. And I just wasn't in the right body position. And I did something to the shoulder, 3 weeks of the chiropractor. and it still wasn't getting any better. Like, what is happening? The pain was so bad. And then I took a peptide shot, took one in my shoulder. The next day, it was gone.
What?
No pain.
Let me guess. BPC 157?
BP 157, right in the shoulder. So I asked my doctor, he recommended it. I told my chiropractor, he said, yeah, give it a shot because he was getting nowhere. I mean, we're getting a little bit of gains, but nothing. 3 weeks with him and nothing. One shot, the next day, I was cool.
Yeah.
So these peptides, I know you've done a ton of research on it. Mine was very minimal. I just talked to my doctor. I used it. It worked amazingly well. To tell us, Jess, I know you've done a ton of research on peptides, and there's tons of peptides. So we're going to talk about a few here, but there's many, many more out there. They are kind of the hot button item right now, are these peptides.
And also the reason we want to talk about them is because we like to talk about hot button items to make sure that we are well informed individuals when we go down these rabbit holes, say, because peptides can be an incredible tool, and a lot of people are going to them as a crutch or as a quick fix or a shortcut, and that's not what they are. So we will dive into that, but that's one reason why we want to talk about it today, is because everybody's hearing about them. Everybody's talking about them. 1 out of 4 people, I think, right now are on them, which is insane because they're not FDA approved. And not that I'm
Neither is the COVID shot.
right, exactly. But
So-
I'm not a fan of the FDA. I'm not advocating for the FDA.
Okay, I'm like,
I just the fact that so many people are taking them with them not be. I didn't think that many people aligned with me not caring about the FDA.
yeah, after COVID, I think people were just like, forget it.
Forget it. True. Yeah. So my quick story is I had that neck surgery this summer.
Yeah.
And I had some good friends from high school reach out to me.
So hold on. It wasn't just neck surgery. They like went in through her throat to the back of her neck and had to fix 3 vertebrae.
So I have 4 herniated discs.
Yeah.
And 2 of them were herniated so much they were protruding into my spinal cord. So if I had a small fall, I could have been paralyzed. So they had to go in and take those ones out.
That comes from all of the military service.
Yes. A couple
All
things.
that compression.
Yeah. He said you had an injury. He looked at my MRI. He said you had a pretty substantial injury about 20 years ago.
Oh, imagine that.
And when we had this conversation, I had this MRI. It was literally 20 years ago to the day I was in Iraq and on probably one of my lioness rotations where we got blown up in our vehicle from an IED. The problem is, like, you get a little rattled, but you're a soldier, so you brush it off, drink water, drive on, soldier, right?
Here's some Motrin, change your socks.
Yeah, and so you have all these like ailments. You're like, okay, get some Motrin, go to sick call, feel better, move on. So the original injury happened then, yes, but I learned how to adapt and overcome. And then I got out of the military, and then I do all this more damage to my body, and then posture becomes a part of it.
Yeah.
Poor, like holding all my stress and my tension up here added more problems to it. And so it just compounded over the years. But for the neurosurgeon to look at the MRI and say, this is a 20-year-old major or significant injury from 20 years ago. And I was like, it is May of 2025. 20 years ago, I was in Iraq. So yes. Anyways, so I had a friend. So I had this surgery. They took 2 out. The neurosurgeon says in 10 to 15 years, I'm gonna have to have the other 2 taken out. But we don't want to do them all 4 at once because you're going to lose a lot of mobility. So this friend reaches out and says, hey, tells me a little bit about this BPC 157 for my surgery recovery. And I'm like, heck yeah, I'm going to try it. And my surgery recovery was so amazing that I was like, okay, tell me what else you got. What else you got? Right, friend? And so then he knows that, right, that sleep has been something that has been really hard for me over the last 20 years. And even though I've put in a lot of really good tools and structures and disciplines to get my sleep schedule back on track, we talk about circadian rhythm and how important that is for your mental health because everything else aligns from it. You talk about the little janitors that go in and clean things up, like Gilia cells. Yes, Ilia cells, all those. If you've watched more than one of our episodes, we nerd out on that kind of stuff. But the first 10 years post-war, that 2 to 4 hours of sleep at night just destroyed my body. But as I've gotten better at getting 7 or 8 hours of sleep, I still never dreamed. Every once in a while, I would have a night terror, and then it would be really hard for weeks to sleep after that because you're so afraid of going to sleep and having that again. And so it's just this cycle of really bad sleep patterns in my life. And so I would say the last 4 or 5 years, I've gotten really good at getting my good sleep regimen. I mean, I have good nighttime routine, good nighttime sleep hygiene. I have really good morning routine so that my circadian rhythm is doing a lot better. But I never realized I wasn't getting deep restorative sleep until my friend said, I want you to start with this one because it really helps with your human growth hormone that then as you're sleeping goes in and rebuilds and restores things. And so I'm like, sure, I'll try it. The third night of taking this peptide, I had my first dream in, I couldn't tell you how long. And a vivid dream. And I started waking up between 5:50 and 5:56 a.m. every morning with no alarm. I'm telling you, if you know anything about me, it took every ounce of willpower for me to get up out of bed every morning. Everybody likes to hit the snooze. Everybody likes their warm, comfy bed. For me, it was like I've had a successful day if I get out of bed first thing in the morning when my first alarm goes off. Like that's a huge defeat for me. Okay. So the fact that I'm dreaming, I fell asleep last night and I don't remember waking up once. And I'm waking up between 5:50 and 5:56. And I'm like, because of my habits, I'm like laying there trying to go back to sleep. And I can't. I'm like, I'm ready for the day. So I hop up and I get ready for the day. It's been almost 3 months of me being on this nighttime peptide to help with my sleep. There's not been one morning in 3 months that I've wanted to sleep in. I'm up.
Incredible.
I'm up, ready for the day, have energy. It changed my life. And so I'm like, okay, these first two peptides I try are like changing my life. All right, I'm about to go down this rabbit hole. And that's what I've done.
So tell us, what is a peptide? Because we hear this and it's just a buzzword. Most people don't know what it is. I know what it is as it relates to the brain. I didn't realize these are throughout the rest of the body. So tell us, what actually is a peptide?
I'm gonna do y'all some justice. I'm gonna read it verbatim because I don't want to get it wrong because it can be very complicated. There's lots of moving parts to peptides, but peptides are basically tiny chains of amino acids, the same building blocks your body uses to make proteins, kind of like individual Lego bricks snapped together in a short row. Your body naturally makes peptides to act like little messengers, telling different cells and systems what to do, like heal this tissue or release more growth hormone. When people use peptide supplements or injections, they're essentially giving the body extra messengers to boost things it's already trying to do, like recover faster, reduce inflammation, or build more muscle. Think of it like sending reinforcements to help your body's repair crew get the job done quicker. What's so important to understand about peptides is insulin is a peptide, and diabetics need insulin. GLP-1s are peptides. Okay. It's something your body naturally already produces, but the GLP-1 or the insulin just gives it signals to release more. So these are not steroids. These are not hormone replacement therapies. They're different. They're already amino acids in your body that are already being released. And taking these peptides are just sending more messengers to that. What's the right word for that? Pathway.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's peptides that send more messengers to pathways for neurotransmitters, for healing, for tissue repair, for inflammation, for hunger signaling, for insulin sensitivity, for insulin regulation. I mean, it's so many really cool things.
So what I'm hearing you say is that a peptide is like a blank piece of paper. And what it does, it allows the body to encode a message on it and send it out to different areas that may need help. This means that it can help repair the body, restore sleep, improve digestion, depending on what was encoded on that paper.
Yeah, sure. But just so nobody's confused, the piece of paper, the peptide Right. So you can't take an anti-inflammatory peptide and expect it to just adapt to something else your body needs.
Right.
It's going to target the
In a very
yes.
specific way.
Yeah. So it would be like, having yellow, green, blue, pink, and purple construction blank paper. And the blue construction blank paper goes towards inflammation. And the pink one goes towards neurotransmitters. And the yellow one goes towards insulin sensitivity.
So I understand peptides as far as they relate to the brain, because that's what I've studied. And so when you have thought, feeling, or emotion, and that feeling that we get gets encoded into a peptide, and that's what transfers the information through the different neural pathways in your brain. And so it's kind of like the school bus, thought, feeling, or emotion, wherever it needs to go on that pathway in your brain. Those are what peptides do in your brain. I had no idea that they were throughout the rest of our body.
Yeah. Right. Our gut lining, how our digestive system works. Like when your ankle swells up, when you roll your ankle, those are amino acids, peptides going and saying, hey, we need help here. So they're sending extra signals to that spot to cushion it for protection.
And that's exactly what happened to my shoulder.
Yeah.
Because I had damaged something in my shoulder, underneath my shoulder blade, and it was causing a really bad pinching sensation that would not go away no matter what I did. And I was taking pain medication, I was having creams on it, I was doing massage, chiropractic, like everything you could do, and it was not healing. One shot with that BP 157 in the shoulder, and it was fixed. Unbelievable how quickly it worked.
And we got to do a huge disclaimer. This is not medical advice. We are not saying go out there and do peptides. We are not doctors. Consult with your healthcare professional before doing anything. Now that we've made that clear, I'm just sharing my own research journey with you of what they've done for me and you.
Yes. And if you want to get peptides, I have no idea where you can get them.
And we could do, if you guys are interested in this stuff, we'll do more.
Yeah, I have no problem talking about it. My experience has been amazing. I take it on a regular basis. My recovery is so much faster. When I used to go, I've been training to go hike the Inga Trail. I leave in just a few days. Well, actually, by the time this airs, I will probably be trail.
In the middle of your hike.
That would be
You will.
And so when I take these shots and this peptide is in my body, it helps me recover so much faster. I used to have to take two days in between a hike because my body would be so sore and beat up. My knees would be swollen, my ankles would hurt, my thighs would be burning. Now I can hike. I literally hike every day and I feel just fine. I recover so much faster.
And that's the next point I really wanted to get to is before anybody should look into any kind of peptide, you have got to make it a priority to have your foundations first. What I mean by foundations are you have to be in an intentional, active pattern already of having a healthy life.
Say that again, Jess. That is so good. You have to be in a well-disciplined routine in your life before you add these to it. Because if you don't, you're going to rely too much on this peptide and not enough on building the proper habits that you need to be healthy.
Well, and to go even further, one thing I like about peptides is if you don't have a healthy foundation, one of my coaches that I follow and get a lot of my research from, he calls it a bottleneck.
Yes.
So he says, if you don't have this foundation and you try this peptide, this is what's going to happen. And it's a negative side effect. And you're like, oh, peptides didn't work for me. No. Your foundations weren't laid there first. And so people are hearing these buzzwords, retatrutide and Ozempic and all these things, and people are losing all this weight. But you can see somebody who was on Ozempic who had no foundations. They ate chips and soda while they were on Ozempic, and they look horrible.
They look like Skeletor from the He-Man series, right? Like their faces sunken in, or like if you're a woman, you look like Cruella de Vil. You know, your eyes are sunken in, your cheeks. I can pick it out, man. I'm like,
They call it Ozempic face.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough.
Man, I'm a part of these like, like Facebook community group discussions, and somebody will post something about, hey, anybody know where I can get my trizepatide cheaper, which is it's a GLP-2. So it has GLP-1 and GIP, something too. Anyways, we can go into that later, but people will, some smart donkey will say, just discipline your life, then you won't need it. And then 60 people come in like, no, I tried that. Some people did it. And it's like, yeah, I could see both sides. You have to have some foundations set. You can't.
Here's the other part, though, Jess. Here's the other part. People get on Ozempic, they lose a bunch of weight really fast, they look terrible, but they didn't change their life. 6 months later, they're right back to where they were. They just had this huge, rebound.
Yeah.
Which
It's terrible for your body.
awful for your body. And then you have to go back on it. And so it's just this vicious cycle. Yeah, I would not suggest taking any of these things if you're not disciplined.
We're not suggesting you take any of them anyways, right, Sergeant Q?
Yes. These are not for human consumption.
Yes.
They are for animal research only.
Yes. So I have, a rat at home that I'm doing research on.
Not me. I'm the rat. I do research on myself. Like that's real talk.
And the research I'm finding in my rat is they're sleeping so much better. They're dreaming. No. But yeah, you got to get those foundations, right? So
Here's the thing, what I love about this administration is that they are much faster at accepting these things than anybody has been in history.
Yeah.
Which is super cool because they just released a memorandum authorizing not all of them, but a bunch of these.
7 are going to move from one class to another class in June, which is, I don't understand like all the political legalities of that, but it means we're one step closer to getting them FDA approved.
Right.
So some of them will be able to be set to compounding pharmacies for doctors to prescribe. The problem is doctors are only educated where they're educated. So when they go to doctor school, they're taught the pharmaceutical lanes of things. So
You know why? Do you know why? Because the pharmaceutical companies are the ones who pay
yes.
for those schools that doctors go to. And since they're sponsoring it, they're only teaching them about those medicines.
Yes.
And if you look at the history, we should do a whole segment on this.
Rockefeller?
Before that. Oh, so if you look at the history of the AMA, the American Medical Association, when they all got together, their number one goal was to eliminate any natural medicine. And they did it. And they went after these people viciously. They filed all these lawsuits against them. They paid off judges. They would burn people's labs. They would imprison them. They would murder them. This is not conspiracy theory. This is well documented that the AMA did this. And the AMA and the pharmaceutical companies go hand in hand. And they're the ones who control our healthcare system. You don't have to believe me. This stuff is widely available. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's well documented that that's what the AMA was doing back in its inception. And I don't think that it's changed much at all.
And I can see why getting something FDA approved could be wise as well. And let me explain why. Some of these research compounds are injectable. So you give yourself a little shot, which means it has to be reconstituted. So it comes in a powder form. You have to reconstitute with either acidic type water or bacteriostatic water, which is antibacterial, right? And you have to put a certain amount of mLs to a certain amount of milligrams. And then you got to do, like, there's so many different levels to make sure you're researching with your lab rat the right amount. But there are a lot of moving parts to it. So if you don't know what you're doing, you shouldn't be doing it. Oh, there's so much research you've got to do before getting your own lab rat. Okay. And so I can, I'm not like, yeah, everybody take peptides, make them legal for everybody. No. But also, your doctor is probably not going to be on board with peptides if all they've had is education from these institutions that are teaching them what they want to teach them, because the pharmaceutical companies are the ones who are putting in the big dollars to do the research, because they're only going to put in the big dollars to do the research if they can patent and compounds. You can't patent a compound that naturally comes from your body. One of the research I did was in 2008, there was a big lawsuit. You can't patent this compound because my body naturally produces it. It's kind of like me going out and saying, I'm going to patent my own cells and sell you my stem cells for $50,000. You can't patent your own DNA, your own cells. And so that's why it's really hard to get peptides FDA approved, because the pharmaceutical companies aren't going to put the money into the research needed to understand dosing and things like that, because they're not going to be able to patent them. So that's
They all actually even, it's the same thing that happened with microdosing psilocybin, microdosing MDMA, microdosing ayahuasca. These are naturally occurring substances that just happen in nature. And for the past 20 years, when I started researching it, this was highly illegal. It was talked about in hushed tones. Doctors that did this kind of work flew to these retreats in South America where nobody knew them, and they would administer this microdosing of these hallucinogenic compounds that naturally happened in nature, and they would do real therapy with people to get them through severe trauma. I had seriously considered going and doing one of these treatments 20 years ago when it was spoken in hushed tones. There were a few people I knew who did it, and I was super close to doing it because I would do anything, yeah, to get relief at that time. And I tried tons of different therapies, hypnosis, breathing, chanting. And the reason that I didn't do it, it was so expensive to go down, because you've got to fly down there, you've got to stay down there, you've got to pay for the treatment. I mean, it was $3,000 to $4,000, and I'm living in my car. Yeah. So I just didn't have the money. If I did, I probably would have tried it.
yeah.
But that is now starting to become legalized
Yeah, I did read research about that too. So
because it is so effective to be able to do it. But again, pharmaceutical companies don't like that because they can't monetize it.
And you're healing the root cause. You're not putting a Band-Aid on a symptom and keeping people reliant on your drug. It's not conspiracy, folks. It's real life. So
Look at all the millions of dollars that we put into research for a cure for everything, cancer, you name it. We haven't cured anything since polio. Why? Because there's no money in the cure. There's money in the treatment. Yeah. All right. If you guys like what we're doing here, like, share, comment, send this to your friends. It really helps the algorithm, you guys. Check out our sponsor, Evolve. If you guys want to improve your mental health journey, there's a really cool gamified platform that's been built out for that. And look for other things coming this year. We've got a bunch of stuff planned for you guys. Stay tuned.
if you are interested in understanding or learning more about researching peptides, neither one of us can give you any information. We are not healthcare professionals licensed to do so.
I'm a janitor. Okay. I clean toilets. If you want some advice on how to clean a toilet, like, I'm your guy. Ask me that. Yeah. I can only tell you what I've done and it's worked for me.
Yes.
But it's not medical advice for you.
I do have a really awesome coach who does have all the platform to answer whatever questions you have, to understand what different compounds will do, and who's very, very intentional about getting your foundation first. And then once the foundation is set, coming alongside you and seeing how maybe a research compound could benefit you. So just inbox the Mental Health Janitors and we'll get you slid over to a professional who actually knows what they're doing.
For the Mental Health Janitors, I'm Sergeant Q.
I'm Doc Jess.
And we're out.